A method is a planned process of testing and research of a phenomenon or the path to achieve a goal on the philosophical, scientific, political, or practical area. Scientific method is a set of various processes which science uses in scientific research to investigate and present results of scientific research in a particular area or scientific discipline. Scientific method is a path of research that shapes and builds the science. Scientific method is also the every manner of scientific research that provides a safe, sorted, systematic, and accurate knowledge. Since the inception of the discipline, quantitative methods have provided the primary research methods for studying the distribution and causes of crime. Quantitative methods provide numerous ways to obtain data that are useful to many aspects of society. The use of quantitative methods such as survey research, field research, and evaluation research, as well as others, help criminologists to gather reliable and valid data helpful in the field of criminology. The data can and is often used by criminologists and other social scientists in making causal statements about variables being researched. Research method of criminology. Most commonly used methods in criminology are a study of individual cases, case study, a clinical method of studying personalities of delinquents, clinical study, a statistical analysis of crime as a mass phenomenon, statistical analysis, and an experimental study of delinquents, experiment. The research methods of criminology are historical method, comparative method, psychological method, statistical method, prognostic method, case study, prophylactic method, experiment. Historical method is a descriptive method. This method describes a certain research object or phenomenon in its historical dimension or time sequence. Comparative method compares two or more phenomena with a final goal to find certain connections or dissimilarities between them. Comparing two objects, we can find out does the connection between them really exists, as well as what are natures of their similarities or dissimilarities. We should also consider that many phenomena may look like to be connected in some way, but the connection between them doesn't really exist. That is, there is no clear connection between crime and intelligence. Being intelligent certainly helps to the development of professional criminal career, but just alone it isn't sufficient. Psychological method consists of itself of various behavior observations, attempts of behavior modifications, and attempts to predict future behaviors of delinquents. Psychology, in some way, is a hocus-pocus science because it isn't easy to modify or predict human behavior or to know for certain what fully caused it. Statistical method. Mark Twain once said, "Statistics is only accurate in inaccuracies." Crime can be statistically analyzed using various attributes: conceptual, name of the analyzed phenomenon; temporal, 1 year, 6 months, 1 month; and territorial, town, country, and region or globally. Clinical method is used in psychology. Psychology mostly researches normal behaviors, but specialized field in psychology known as clinical psychology researches abnormal behaviors, while psychiatry researches mentally health disorders, that is, dangerous behaviors. Clinical method is formed as an interview. Clinical psychologist asks the questions and gives the answers. During the interview, the whole psychologist takes notes. Whole interview takes about 30 minutes. Psychologists then take those notes and set diagnosis and prognosis about health condition and possible behavioral developments. Case study is one of the best detailed analysis ever introduced into science. However, case studies are detailed but expensive. Some of the best results and scientific contributions in understanding the juvenile delinquency are achieved through a case study. Case study can analyze one case or can analyze 30 or more similar cases by comparing them together. Many valuable results are gained through case studies. Characteristics of scientific methods. The scientific methods must be objective or impartial, systematic or sorted, precise or exact, general and reliable. Quantitative methods in criminology. Quantitative methods of research can be defined as methods such as surveys and experiments that record variation in social life in terms of categories that vary in amount. Data that are treated as quantitative are either numbers or attributes that can be ordered in terms of magnitude. This means that the research, unlike qualitative methods, is not based upon a subjective interpretation of the observations, but aims to be a more objective and impartial analysis based on the numerical findings of quantitative research. In the study of criminology, the research methods tend to be quantitative because of the potential for bias in qualitative research. However, there are many issues not suitable for quantitative study. Debates and personal beliefs tend to be more influenced by emotion rather than scientific study. This makes quantitative research a difficult but worthwhile method of research. A general definition for criminology is a scientific approach to the study of criminal behavior. By this definition, one of the first appearances of criminology was the work of Cesare Beccaria in 1764 related to torture and the death penalty. Beccaria's contribution to the criminology was foundational but purely philosophical. Quantitative methods in criminology were developed later during the 19th century resurgence of positivism, spearheaded by well-known sociologist Emile Durkheim, who is responsible for one of the first modern research projects titled Suicide. It was published in 1897 and was the first work of its kind to include quantitative data, mainly suicide rates across different populations. This study marks the first documented use of quantitative research methods in the field of criminology. The first case of this in the United States occurred at the University of Chicago around 1915, where scientists were studying the massive immigration into the city. It provided an ideal setting for empirical studies where the scientists were testing hypotheses related to the proneness to criminal behavior. To study this, they looked at recorded convictions, environment and social experiences, from which they recorded data and statistics to formulate a conclusion for the study. American criminology was greatly influenced by British criminology due to the large number of social scientists that developed criminology theories. Some of these early criminologist theorists were Karl Marx, Cesare Lombroso, Jeremy Bentham, and Emile Durkheim. Criminology back in the late 19th century was a broader scope which included similar theories as sociology. A more current and encompassing definition of criminology are the scientific study of crime, criminals, criminal behavior, and corrections. This is the definition that is more widely used than the one from the late 19th century. In general, criminology has remained constant in terms of its science and how it is conducted. Research methods for criminology, and well as early theories, have had little, if no change to those of today. The use of quantitative methods in criminology is still heavily used as it was when the discipline first developed, and the means of collection and analysis are still very similar. Qualitative methods of criminology. Within criminology, as well as in most fields of social research, the usage of qualitative methods is a second choice. An important reason why quantitative methods dominate criminological research may be the expectations which are addressed in this type of research. Societal and political discussions concerning crime demand, first of all, brute facts and statistics that show how specific types of crime are distributed among the different segments of the population. Since the 1970s, qualitative methods have obviously become more and more important, not only in social research but also in criminology. In order to understand the role qualitative methods play in criminological research, is it useful to sum up how qualitative methods came into recent empirical criminology and which perspective on crime was developed within this research tradition? Moreover, it is important to mention that numerous classical sociological studies on deviance, which pointed the way to the future of a specific social science perspective on crime and deviance, had a qualitative research design. But notice that this term was not familiar in the first third of the 20th century, and a clear distinction between a qualitative and a quantitative methodology did not exist at this time. It is worthwhile mentioning some of the well-known ethnographic studies, most of them belonging to the so-called Chicago School of Sociology, concerning different deviant subcultures and the relations of these subcultures with institutions of such control. For instance, Anderson's 1923, The Hobo, exploring the world of casual laborers, marginalized persons living just inside the law. Thrasher's 1927, The Gang, one of the most important pioneer work in sociological research on youth gangs. Shaw's 1930, The Jack Roller, a case study of a delinquent career. Landesco's 1929, Organized Crime in Chicago, or Thomas' 1923, The Unadjusted Girl, too. And work that deserves special recognition, a milestone in ethnographic research. William Foote White's 1993-1943, Street Corner Society. In the 40s, when survey methods and statistical procedures advanced, the ethnographic tradition of the Chicago School found its place in the background of social research, and criminology was not an exception. In criminology, qualitative methods were pushed into the background additionally by the fact that, at least in Germany, criminology is dominated by jurisprudence. This began to change when in the 60s of US and in the 70s in Germany. The labeling approach tried to launch a new paradigm in social research on deviance. Labeling approach was and is strongly tied to symbolic interactionism and ethnomethodology. A main point of the critique the labeling approach directed toward criminological research was that this research usually defined crime and deviance in the same way as the criminal law and the legal system does. Further, that criminology simply adopts the ascriptions and labels from the legal system. And finally, that these definitions formed the basis not only of legal but also of sociological research on how specific types of crime are distributed among the population and on the etiology of crime. Labeling approach deconstructed this alleged secure resource of criminological research and made it the topic of research. By empirically reconstructing crime as a societal and legal construct, qualitative methods were brought into play. Quantitative method versus qualitative method. The development of knowledge is important for criminology and criminal justice. Two predominant types of methods are available for criminologists to use: quantitative and qualitative methods. Because of the unique contributions, depth of understandings being primary, that qualitative methods can provide, it is argued that such approaches should be used more frequently. Be more frequently and strongly valued and seen as unique, often superior approaches to the creation of criminological and criminal justice knowledge. Qualitative research, one of the two primary approaches to the conduct of social science research, is a superior means for conducting meaningful research in criminology and criminal justice. The numerous advantages of qualitative methods provide a depth of understanding of crime, criminal and justice system operations and processing that far exceeds that offered by detached statistical analysis. Because of the differences in the data, how data is collected and analyzed, and what the data and analysis are able to tell us about our subjects of study, the knowledge gained through qualitative investigations is more informative, richer, and offers enhanced understandings compared to that which can be obtained via quantitative research. The superiority of qualitative research arises from the core differences in what qualitative and quantitative research each contribute to bodies of knowledge. At the core, qualitative research focuses on the meanings, traits, and defining characteristics of events, people, interactions, settings, or cultures and experience. As one leading proponent of qualitative methods has been explained, qualitative refers to the what, how, when, and where of a thing. Its essence and ambience. Qualitative research thus refers to the meanings, concepts, definitions, characteristics, metaphors, symbols, and descriptions of things. Work 2007. Notice that what is missing from this definition is the amount or quantity of whatever it is that is being studied. The number or numerical descriptions of things and their relationships are not the focus of qualitative research. That is the focus of the other form of social science research, quantitative methods. Quantitative research is typically considered to be the more scientific approach to doing social science. The focus is on using specific definitions and carefully operationalizing what particular concepts and variables mean. Qualitative research methods provide more emphasis on interpretation and providing consumers with complete views, looking at contexts, environmental immersions, and a depth of understanding of concepts. So, why should social scientists use qualitative methods? What is the benefit of such an approach to the study of crime and criminal justice? In simple terms, qualitative methods are about gaining true understandings of the social aspects of how crime occurs and how the agents, structures, and processes of responding to crime operate in culturally grounded contexts. Qualitative methods provide a depth of understanding of issues that is not possible through the use of quantitative, statistically based investigations. Qualitative methods are the approach that centralizes and places primary value on complete understandings and how people, the social aspects of our discipline, understand, experience, and operate within milieux that are dynamic and social in their foundation and structure. This is not to say that all social scientists recognize and value qualitative research, nor do all social scientists believe that what qualitative methods offer is superior to quantitative methods, or even contributing to the foundations that establish a body of knowledge. For many scholars of criminology and criminal justice, qualitative research is inferior to what can be gained from quantitative methods and provides only anecdotal non-scientific examples of marginally interesting and valuable insights. For many criminological and criminal justice researchers, qualitative research is the realm of pseudoscience and provides little or no value for addressing how crime and societal responses to crime transpire. Conclusion. Quantitative methods in criminology are the methods for study of distribution and possible causes of crime. Quantitative methods of research in criminology are survey research, field research, evaluation research, other quantitative research methods. Over the past years, qualitative criminological research of the earlier research tradition of reconstructing the internal view of the participants has been extended to include specific areas of deviation or offenses, as for instance, violence or drugs, and an analysis of patterns of interaction in institutions of social control. More recent penal instruments are not only subjected to traditional numerical evaluation but examined with qualitative methods. The data that is used in qualitative research come from a range of collection methods. These include interviews with individuals, observations of people, places, and actions or interactions, immersion in settings so as to understand to what, how, when, and where, and how of social, structural, and action interaction, the analysis of media, written, spoken, drawn, etc., content and guided conversations with groups of individuals, focus groups. Each of these approaches to data collection differ in the source of information and what actual tasks the researcher does to collect information, yet all also include the idea of pulling together examples of the content of regular encountered situations and things.